and welcome back to the movies made us do it. Me and Matt are back. I always say that every episode, but it's actually been a while, so we are actually back.
Yes, yeah.
How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Not so bad at all. How are you?
I'm all right. We're now actually way over, but we hit 500 subscribers during that little break, so that was nice. A milestone. I can do stupid things now, like polls and stuff.
Oh.
Don't know if we would ever want to do that, but that is an option if we ever wanted to. If we ever got to a point where we couldn't decide what to do, we could do a poll. So yes, thank you everyone that's continuing to subscribe. It's quite nice.
Very much.
So it's been a little while, and I think we've caught up on each other's movies somewhat. So that should be fun, and we've watched some new things, unfortunately. So
yeah,
one of them was my fault entirely, I will admit. Where do you want to start?
Should we start with the Godzilla movies?
Okay. Which did you want to start with? So obviously I've reviewed both of these films in the past.
Well, I guess we can probably just talk about both of them as a mixture.
Well,
but minus one, I think, is going to be the best one, isn't it? So
should we start with the best?
Yeah, I think so.
So I've been given quite extensive thoughts on minus one.
Yeah.
I was curious what you made of it, though. I thought you would like it.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I absolutely adore it.
Excellent. I thought you would, but
It's just another kick in that I just didn't go to the cinema to see. I wish I did.
Yeah.
Because it's been far too long. The distance because of it is Japanese.
Japanese, yeah.
They've been a bit.
Well, I mean, technically, it's not released here yet, so.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. But wow, what a movie.
Yeah.
It's probably right up there with the original.
The more I think about it, the more I'm like, it's certainly not gonna beat 1954 for me.
No.
But it's a close second or third on my favorite Godzilla movies.
Yeah,
it's really far up there. I still have that for me. It's still, I still want that guy in a suit.
Yeah.
But ignoring that,
this does look like
Well, they've always
make it look like a guy in a suit.
I think that the Japanese have always done that very well. They're very respectful to that suitmation stuff, because Shin Godzilla often moved like someone wearing a suit. It was still very slow and kind of had that movement. And they do the same here with minus one. I actually think it works really well with both Shin Godzilla and minus one, because that kind of stunted movement that they give Godzilla really gives that feeling of being burnt and being injured, deformed and in pain in that kind of slow way. And I think it's even better here, because with minus one, obviously you see the Godzillasaurus.
Yep.
And you see that it was a perfectly capable, fast creature.
Yeah.
And then when you see the mutated form, it is much slower and much more lumbering, and it kind of struggles to get around on land. So yeah, they do a good job of kind of mimicking that suit stuff for sure.
Yeah, and the design is great into it. The only thing I don't like, and it's a weird little minor thing, is I don't like the way the neck meets the fins. There's something not quite right about.
Wait, the front or at the back?
At the top, the way is the way the head and neck meet the fins. It just looks slightly weird in some angles.
Okay,
they're slightly too big for that point.
Yeah, they did go full on Godzilla 2000 with the spines. They're like as big as possible. I
love the trigger thing.
Yes, that's great.
The fins popping as it goes up. That was fucking awesome. I love that. That was fantastic.
I also really love that his atomic breath hurts him.
Yeah.
Like he's often scarred after using it himself. Like it also burns him.
Yeah. And the actual beam itself was.
Oh Jesus!
So good. Such a they did an absolutely amazing job of Godzilla. I think the design overall and what he's capable of and how they've put their spin on it, as it were. The little with the trigger and the way the beam works and the way the beam explodes the fuck out of everything. It's just, yeah, that's pretty fucking cool. I mean, wow.
But yeah, absolutely. And I mean that scene in the cinema, that scene was just like,
yeah, I bet it was
breathtaking. The Ginza attack.
Yeah.
When that happened, it was like, oh wow, especially because of what happens during that sequence, because we're all kind of enjoying the carnage, and it was like, oh my god, and then it was like, oh no. It was, yeah, gambit of emotions in that movie. Did what's her name make you cry? The girl, little baby.
Yes.
Yeah, every time, man.
I mean, but the Ginza attack brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah, me too.
When we could probably spoil a little bit when she pushes him into the alley.
Yeah, you know what's coming. Yeah,
and you're like, oh fuck, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whoa, that is just bad.
Yeah. The Noriko doing that was sad.
Yes.
But Akiko, isn't it? The daughter. Every time she cried, I was like, oh my god, my heart.
And they do such a good job with his character. I mean, there's the bit where he's celebrating with the mining guys, the anti-mine crew.
Yes.
And the little girl sat on one of their laps, and she's calling him dad, and he's like getting all.
It's like, I'm not your father, and
yeah, he's getting all sort of pissy because he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to think about it. He doesn't want, he doesn't. If he thinks of when it's going on, he doesn't mind it. When he's part of the family and he doesn't have to think about being part of the family.
Yeah, if he has to think about it, it's a problem. Yeah.
But the moment it comes into sort of, she does think of, no, I can't have a family sort of thing. And, wow. And he's great.
His performance is tremendous. The
Kameki. He is amazing. I loved
his whole performance was superb. I thought his PTSD was performed amazingly well. The scene when he says to Noriko that he when he believes he's in a dream and he's dying.
Yeah.
On Odo Island. That gave me goosebumps. That scene. He was amazing in that scene.
It's the where he says, maybe I did die.
Am I dead? Yeah.
And this is my punishment. I'm living through all this as my punishment. Like, fucking hell, that's some really fucking cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, and I mean, it's been said by many people, and I'm only really reiterating, but to think the money that they put in this movie, and how fucking good it looks.
Yes.
And how well it's acted, and you just think, why can't Hollywood do this?
Yeah, I mean, it was 10 to 12 million, I think it turned out to be. And I mean, it should be said that the Japanese don't necessarily pay people so well, and there is probably better actor rights and pay in America. But even with that said, the disparity between the prices is ludicrous.
Stingy, aren't they? Toho?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, it's just what a fucking film! It's just, and like I said, all of the performances are fantastic. The overall story is so good.
I also really
the idea that you've got this guy who, was a kamikaze pilot and basically becomes a coward. Or he's seen as a coward. You get when he goes home and
oh god, that's so horrible. When he gets back and his whole family's dead, and the neighbor's like, "This is your fault." And
his neighbor is like, "I lost all of my children are dead."
She's a super performance as well.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is that Ota?
Yeah, I think so.
Ando, I think she's so good because she's horrible to him when he comes home, and she doesn't want to talk to him.
Well, she's lost her whole family, so
but she very quickly, when he brings home the kid and Noriko, she's like quickly to help them.
She goes and gets rice, and she gets
she gives them her
she's like, it's not for you, it's for her.
Yes, it's not for you, it's for her. Yeah, she's wonderful, and she ends up, being like a family member. she helps them out and looks after
Yeah.
the girl when they're away, and it's it was just so good, and it's I love the sort of how you see that how it moves through the sort of for a couple of years where you get them living in what like a room that remains of a house,
Yeah.
to them having enough money to rebuild their own their house. And
yeah, because the film starts immediately after the war, so you've had the fire bombings of Tokyo, so it's ruins. They're literally living in like a ruined, well, literally ruins. And yeah, you see that kind of that rebuild attempt that they're doing as things come back over the years.
Yeah, and all the little things like her getting a job in Ginza, and him worrying that she's going to be away too long and stuff. And I love that his character is so doesn't want to be involved, doesn't want because he feels he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah,
but he's so worried about them, and it's so they're his family. They're clearly his family.
He's so conflicted.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Because you have that scene, the scene as well, where he talks to his parents and he says, "Dare I, be happy?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to be happy?" Mm-hmm. Which coincides with the Godzilla attack, and he's like, "Oh no, no, I can't be happy." It's a wonderful movie, and it's tremendously acted by the whole cast, all of them, and the ancillary characters. Like, I love the crew of the Minesweeper.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
They're great. Doc is fantastic.
I love Doc is great because I love the whole thing where they're when they first sort of think, they've got a plan, and they all turn up and he's giving the lecture.
Yeah,
and they're like, hey, I didn't know Doc was that clever, sort of thing.
But you know what, as well, like watching the movie. I mean, I've seen every Godzilla movie many times. I was not expecting a plan that was actually pretty sensible.
Yeah,
I was like, that would actually it's not a terrible idea.
I just kind of presumed that they were going to do the oxygen bomb again.
Yeah, so did I. I thought that's what
they're going because of the regeneration and all that stuff. They're going to use the oxygen bomb. It'll be fine. And then when he started saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that and that, and it's like, that's
actually
nice.
kind of genius. Yeah,
that's a really cool plan. I love this plan, and I love this idea that it was Japan's on their own because of Russia and America.
Yeah.
And I love the little things like at that meeting where they're talking, and it's like some of the people are like, well, this is just the war all over again. Why the hell should we do anything? We were already lied to by our country. Why the hell? And there were guys like, no, we've got to do something. If we don't, no one else will.
Yeah,
and we'll all be screwed.
I've saw a few people saying that it was like an anti-Western culture movie, and it's really not. It's an anti-government movie in general. Like, all governments are terrible.
Yeah. That's how I see it.
Because the Japanese government treat them just as bad in the movie.
Completely. And I love that one of them says, he says, do you think, are we all going to die, from this? And they go, and Doc's like, no. He's like, he gives it a long thought, and he's like, no, it's fine. And the guy says, well, already it's better than the war. Yeah,
they all start laughing about it.
Yeah. It's like,
and when
little scenes like that,
I think it's Doc that says, we're not going into this to die. We're going into this for a future. We're going into this to provide a future. This time it's not about needless sacrifice. The sacrifice will mean something. Yeah. If it has to be a sacrifice.
Yeah, and I love that. They when they do the cliche thing of, we'll abandon the young kid because he's injured and we don't want him with us.
Yeah.
And then he turns up later on, and you're like,
with the civilians. So that was such a great scene.
Was it? He turns up and says, here come the useless to help you out, or something.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that is so cool. And it's just, oh man, the stuff with the boats is great. The so suspenseful.
They made Godzilla terrifying in the water, which he should be, being an aquatic creature. Because he always has been an aquatic creature, but they've never, I don't think they've ever really well showed that side of things.
I think the
Certainly
Americans
not
have done a pretty good job on the water stuff, actually.
reasonable. It's kind of, yeah, I guess so. But I couldn't get over, and every time I rewatch this movie, I still can't get over how terrifying that scene is when he's chasing the minesweeper, and you just see the size of his head, just that body chasing them is like, oh my god, that is a terrifying thought.
And you can see the sort of you can see its influences, honestly, because you can tell that.
Of course, there's a lot of Jaws. There's a lot of all sorts in there.
There's a lot of Jaws in it, and but done so well. And I mean the whole bit where they explode the mine in his mouth, and there's for a second you think, oh,
the movie's over,
and then it starts re-knitting, and you're like, oh my god, that reminded me of have you ever read Call of Cthulhu?
Yeah, with the boat.
The bit with the boat where he smashes it into Cthulhu's head.
The opening of the book, like, in fact.
Fuck you, I've killed you, sort of thing. And he looks back, and Cthulhu's head is like knitting back together. It just reminded me of that scene. Yeah,
well, Godzilla doesn't even do that. At least in Call of Cthulhu, they ram him with a ship, and he goes to bed for a bit. Yeah, Godzilla's like, nah, immediately up. But then you get the double bluff, because then you get the ship come in, the warship.
Yeah.
Superb.
There's so many fucking amazing scenes that.
And the use of score and silence in this film, is tremendous.
I'm so glad when they used the Ifukube theme.
Me too. I loved it, and the Mothra theme. It somehow worked.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so beautiful, and they've obviously put their own spin on it a little, and it works so well. And you even get aeroplane porn, which that plane which was a real plane. It was a real sort of prototype plane, and the stuff with him flying around is so good, so fucking cool.
And it all came together so nicely. The crew of the Minesweeper knowing that they could damage him more from the inside, which obviously gave him the thought that, hey, maybe this is my chance at redemption. I can do this. And I will say, I don't think there has ever been, in any iteration, I struggle to think of a more terrifying Godzilla than the Godzilla that comes up from the water at the end, completely fucked up with his eyes bulging and God knows what, just angry as all hell. It's a terrifying look.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and you can see like. It almost looks like tears in the seam of the suit, isn't it?
It kind of does. Yeah.
It looks like that good, and I mean even like wonderful little moments like when he they say, oh, we need an engineer for the plane, and he's like, oh, I've got the perfect engineer sort of thing, and I love the idea that he knows how to get him back.
Yeah, he knows him well enough.
I'll blame him. He blames him for the thing, and it's like, wow. That takes fucking balls that he didn't just turn up and murder you. It's like,
well, he may well have done had they not had the conversation. It's a. I don't know. I hesitate to say flawless, but it's a fantastic film. I mean, as you said, it's up there with 1954.
Yeah.
Honestly, it may not be my second favorite Godzilla for like. Just nostalgia reasons and whatnot. Yeah. But certainly it is, in terms of quality and in terms of a serious take on Godzilla, it is up there with 1954. It's that good.
It is. Yeah, it's just every facet of it is just wonderful. It's down to the Godzilla itself, right up to the acting, right up to the
fact that it's a good war movie. Yeah, like I never expected that. Like it's actually a really good war film, even without Godzilla. It's I
mean, you could knock out the Godzilla thing and just have it as a family dealing with trauma of the war.
Yeah, absolutely, and it would still be a fantastic film.
Yeah, I think so. It's just a genuinely great movie, and a great Godzilla movie.
Yeah. So anyway, do you want to talk about some trash?
Yeah.
Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire.
Do you know what? I really enjoyed it.
So did I. It's a big contrast, but it's fun.
I think, for me, those movies so far they hit their peak with King of the Monsters.
I agree, am in complete agreement with you.
And they've kind of gone. Each one after that has gone down a little.
Did you find this one? I found this one almost easier to accept than Godzilla vs. Kong. Purely because like Godzilla vs. Kong was such a notable jump into silly compared to King of the Monsters, and in tone and in terms of all these science fiction concepts they suddenly brought in. Whereas in this one it was kind of I expected it, so it was almost easier to kind of digest immediately.
Yes.
You know,
because you already had the the spaceships and
exactly. Like the last one did the wacky shit to where I was like, okay,
they turn up in that thing that looks like a bug.
Yeah,
and it's got like camouflage and stuff, and you just go, okay, fine. You've already shown us ridiculous things anyway.
And
fine,
when
why
they pull the fucking robot arm straight out of their ass as well, you're like, yeah, okay, why not?
Yeah,
fine.
Like, what a weird character Dan Stevens is.
Dan Stevens is wasted on that movie, honestly.
He's so wasted on this movie.
What are you doing?
But it does. I mean, he seems like he's having a fucking ball.
Yeah, they all do.
He totally looks. The only thing with the characters for me was Rebecca Hall is now reduced to being Basil for fuck's sake.
Basil Exposition.
Basil Exposition, yeah.
Yes.
She's just a walking, talking. Hey, I can read that wall, and it tells us what Godzilla and Kong used to be like, and it's like, poor Rebecca.
I would say Bernie was less insufferable this time around.
Bernie actually was almost enjoyable,
almost likable. Yeah, I thought the same. I was like, he's actually kind of better here.
It's a lot less screamy and a lot less annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think you could say is character development.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Like the events of the last movie have changed him somewhat, maybe.
Yeah, he's still a coward, but he still wants to be part of it, and he's a little braver, and he has some ideas, and it's like, okay, that works. I'm happy with that.
I must admit, going in, I was most excited about seeing Mothra. And I did feel like Mothra was a bit tacked on when I actually saw the movie. I was like,
very tacked on.
Okay, she's just there.
Yeah, it was very. I mean, she's just there to turn up and chastise Godzilla and Kong. Now, children, stop bloody fighting.
Well, that's a direct reference to Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, where Mothra literally does that with Godzilla and Rodan.
Yes.
She of course, she's in larval form during that one, but she does spray them both and has a go at both of them.
I do remember that.
So the reference wasn't lost on me, and it's not. Again, going back to the Japanese films, it wouldn't be the first time that Mothra just appears out of nowhere and is just in a movie.
That is true.
These films are very much, the American films have very much gone the Showa route. They're just full on Showa silly, and I think I would be less. I don't think I would be so okay with it were it not for the fact that right now I can have my cake and eat it, because the Japanese are doing very good serious Godzilla and I've got this silly shit on the side. It's fine, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the whole sort of Jaya is the key to
Mothra now.
She's the magical girl that's the key to Mothra. It's like, oh, okay.
I kind of liked the Iwi people being kind of.
It made sense in a way. It was like, okay, fine.
Well, because the idea was that Skull Island was Hollow Earth come to the surface, wasn't it? So she's part of the same tribe, but there was obviously a tribe in the Earth as well as outside the Earth, and they were tied to Mothra in the Earth. But yeah, why she started getting visions and stuff, who knows?
It did feel very much like, let's just do this with her, and it did feel a little half-assed.
Oh god, yeah, so much of it. I did love as well. Like, she's going to a monarch school. Yeah. Like, monarchs so big they've got their own school where they look after the kids, and I like when they're like, is it like the head teacher's like, well, this is a bit far-fetched. It's like, what, you know what you deal with every day. Like, I don't think some girl having visions is outside of the realms of possibility at this point. All the shit you've seen.
I guess if she's a teacher, she might not necessarily know what Monarch does, I suppose. But you'd have thought
she's very
yes.
culturally insensitive to the Iwi people. I thought as a teacher,
yes.
probably not cool.
No, it's that's a very, very odd one. And the Alex Ferns, who I love, as an actor, he's a great actor. But I did not buy him as the gruff.
No, what a weird choice.
And he's played that role before, and it's worked.
Oh, okay.
But here, I thought he was terrible.
I thought it was a very strange choice.
I was actually quite glad when the tree ate him.
Yes, that was quite.
I was like, oh, okay, good, fine. That's it.
That was actually quite a good payoff. I quite enjoyed that.
That was quite funny. Yeah, the sort of, I'm glad they sort of they sort of halved the people, so we didn't have Millie Bobby Brown and all that. We didn't have didn't have the Godzilla people this time, which is fine.
Which is fine because Godzilla had nothing to do anyway, so it kind
really
of made sense.
He was very.
I like it's like
I think
a Godzilla
7 minutes screen time.
Probably because like there's like a Godzilla movie going on inside the Hollow Earth, and then occasionally it just cuts to Godzilla kicking the shit out of someone on the surface.
You mean Kong movie going on in the middle,
and then Godzilla just occasionally it'll just cut back to Godzilla beating the shit out of another Titan. It's like okay,
yeah, there's like they introduced Tiamat.
Yeah.
Godzilla basically tears her head off and then goes and powers up in her house.
Powers up, yeah.
I think what a waste! That design for Tiamat was awesome.
Yeah.
And you totally wasted it with a throwaway sort of thing. What was annoying? The thing that annoyed me the most about that is I thought the design for what was it called, Shamu or whatever the.
Oh God, it's awful, isn't it?
The ice one is boring as fuck.
It looks terrible, and also I never got the whole point with Shimu, or in this because this is a made up creature for America. It's not a Japanese kaiju. It's one that they've invented. And the idea with Shimu is that she was like the largest of the Titans. Yeah, and she started the Ice Age.
Yeah, but at no point that she's the first Titan.
Yeah, and that she started the Ice Age. But at no point during this film did I feel like she was powerful enough to cause an Ice Age. Like, at all.
At the sort of end when they're
maybe
squeezing Rio, you get a slight feeling that she could probably have done that if she carried on, but
yeah.
She was very I was very disappointed.
I was hoping when I saw Shimu because they did do a good job of not showing Shimu until I got to the cinema and saw it. I was hoping that when I saw Shimu, I would have been like, oh my God, this could kill Godzilla. At no point did I think this fucking thing was going to kill Godzilla. Like, it was like, there's no way. But fine. Scar King was cool. I'm glad that Kong finally has his kind of King Ghidorah, Yeah. That was cool.
I liked the design of the sort of the really like gangly orangutan like sort of ape. I thought he was kind of cool. He worked as a menacing presence, I thought.
Yeah.
I like the when Kong first meets him and he's sizing him up and he's like looks at his teeth and sees that he's got that the new tooth and he's like it's like he's making a joke with his mates and they're all sort of like laughing at him.
I did enjoy it when Kong knocks his tooth out at the end and laughs.
Yes.
That was quite funny.
Yeah, there was some nice little moments between those two, I thought, which was quite cool. And he did feel like he was, he actually did feel
he felt threatening.
Yeah, he felt way more threatening than Shamu or whatever the fuck she was called did. Despite the fact that she froze Kong's arm and
she gives him frostbite, and then they're like, oh, I've got a brace for his arm, I've got a robot arm, and they're like, oh yeah, and it's got some chemicals in it that'll deal with the frostbite. Don't question it, it's fine. It's gone now. Don't worry about it.
I mean, this was Transformers the movie levels.
Oh God, yeah.
Toy we need new toys. So
oh yeah, well that's the death of creativity, isn't it? Is toy sales.
Yeah.
I do think that in terms of the American designs, King of the Monsters was the peak design for Godzilla, and it's been downhill ever since because they are needing to redesign for toys. Now Toho are just as guilty of this, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, completely.
Just generally I like their designs, and this Godzilla design from certain angles is okay, but it's pretty ugly. It's way worse. It's a downgrade visually, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously with Kong they can't do that, so they were like, "Oh, robot arm."
Well, they've made him grayer and they've made him a little more sort of haggard looking.
Yeah. Did you not think though? Like I this is the I was born in '84. I was a '90s kid, and 80s, 90s toys.
Yeah.
Were my thing as a kid, and I couldn't help but see Kong's robot arm and think, God, remember when they had the line of Aliens toys?
Yeah.
Or Jurassic Park, and they just started adding really dumb shit later on in the line when they're like, oh, now they've got robot arms. It's kind of that. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's pretty much
some of those
we are.
Alien toys were amazing though.
Yeah, they were.
Like the one with the wings and stuff, and
oh, I loved all of the different alien types, and they made sense because they did that in the comics as well.
Yes.
Where depending on the host, they took on elements of the host. In fact, they did it in Alien 3 to an extent with the dog or ox, depending on which version. From that perspective, it makes way more sense being a dog than an ox. But anyway,
I love the dog. The dog alien is actually really
it's a cool design. So there was precedent for that, but it kind of reminds me of that later in a toy run when they're desperate with Kong and his robot arm.
The other one that always springs to mind for me is the Batman.
The late Batman
suits,
toys,
bright yellow suits with firing.
Oh, and like space suit and subsuit and
those sorts of like just tack anything on to make and it's Batman and he's it's like a scuba suit or whatever, and it's like, oh god, they're so bad, but kind of cool in their own way.
Yeah,
and you definitely get that. There's somebody somewhere went, what if we give Kong a robot arm? That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Now, I will say we did get a bit of a kind of callback to King Kong versus Godzilla. We did get the electric powers through the gauntlet. So that wasn't lost on me. It was a nice, there are some nice throwbacks and some nice callbacks here.
It does still feel like there's that's the one thing I will say about these movies. There does, at this point, still feel like there's some love for those movies.
Oh yeah, there
it hasn't. I don't think it's become cynical yet.
I don't think Toho would let them.
No, maybe not.
I think they'd lose the license if they started doing that. I think Toho are very, very protective over Godzilla. They could probably fuck up Kong all they wanted, but not Godzilla.
Yes. Oh yeah, because they don't own Kong, do they? Which is why I think they've gone the more Kong route with these things. And I know they've said, Kong is he's more human, so we can empathise with Kong more than Godzilla, which is true. It's very true. He
does carry this movie.
He does.
I mean, we spend one thing I did. I think I said in my review of this film, I thought this film excelled at more than anything else. Really, was the fact that there are extended parts of this movie with no dialogue. It's just monsters interacting with each other, and what they're thinking and what they're saying. It works really well.
Like I said, with the I forget what he's called, the bad guy one. When he's like making a joke with at Kong's expense to his cronies. Yeah, you know what he's doing. You know what he's saying.
And what did you think of Kong Manila?
Kong Manila.
What is that thing called? I don't even know what he's called.
I don't remember.
Baby Kong, I guess. It's Manila for Kong.
Yeah, Manila for Kong. I think it's like Suba or
I guess it's son of Kong. Really.
But it's actually son of the bad guy.
Yeah, it's son of Scar King, but
he's ginger, isn't he? I love the bit where Kong uses him as a club.
I actually laughed my head off when he did that because it was so unexpected. I actually was like, that was really funny.
It's like, oh my god, he's using him as a club.
That was probably the funniest part of the movie for me.
Oh, I think so. I think hands down that was the funniest part of the movie. I mean, like I said, overall, it was still enjoyable. It's a little bit rubbish at times.
Oh yeah.
There's some real sort of, you still feel like some of the human characters are completely redundant.
Well, especially now.
Sorry.
Especially now.
Yeah. It's I like, Rebecca Hall is. I love Rebecca Hall as an actress.
Me too.
And this one, she just really felt like she was just there to point things out. She was the Uhura, as it were. Or,
yeah.
It's Gwen from
Torchwood?
No, Galaxy Quest.
Oh my god, Galaxy Quest.
Where she just her whole job is to repeat what the computer says.
Yeah.
Which is basically what Rebecca Hall's doing here. Which is like, oh my god! And that bit when there's an amazing shot, which actually again made me laugh, when she's talking to her daughter, and they've just come out of the school because she had the incident.
Yeah.
And that there's a brief moment where you're like, oh, she gets to do something because she's feeling that she's losing her daughter because she can't help her, and it was a nice little bit.
Yeah, you felt like there was a character arc going on there and a bit of story going on there, yeah.
And then they pull back, and it's like the most blatant VW product placement I have fucking ever seen. It's just like, oh wow, they just put that VW car front and center with them just draped on it. Okay.
I mean, I've seen worse product placement, but it was up there.
It was. That was. I thought, oh, that's fucking hilarious.
It's not quite like it's not quite Power Rangers level, but it's close, Although I wouldn't put it past them in the next movie if Kong and Godzilla start having a fight in a Starbucks. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone escapes to a Starbucks to evade a monster.
Yeah. That was funny. Yeah, I mean, overall, I really did enjoy it.
It's enjoyable trash,
That's it. It's really enjoyable trash, and they did a lot of really good things right. There's some nice fight scenes. I quite like
I still love that Hollow Earth design. That whole visual of the Hollow Earth. I do think there's that scale issue, like I said in my review.
Yes, the scale issue. You do forget how big
anything is. Yeah. Yeah,
they do feel just like they could be normal apes.
But in a similar way, it kind of works because it's like, well, that's where they should be. They are that size in that place because everything is that size in that place, and it
that's true. That there is that. It did.
But they don't feel like giant monsters unless we've got buildings and things for them to interact with of scale to understand the size.
Yeah, I did. Some of the scenes where he's running through the Hollow Earth were a bit more cartoony than I'd like.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it did feel a little cheaper this time than.
I will say, I wasn't expecting a zero gravity fight in this movie. That was kind of interesting.
That's one. I did like that. That was quite a nice little thing. That was cool. I liked the zero gravity.
Yeah, they really embraced the wackiness of this movie.
There was a bit very early on where Kong rips apart one of the Gribblies.
Oh yeah, the dog scene.
The blood gets sort of coated him. That looked terrible.
It just looked like a cartoon.
Yeah, it looked really weird. It's like, that was badly done.
Well, I felt like originally that might have been really gory. And then someone changed that, and then it got kind of like kiddified as a result, and it kind of came out looking like a cartoon. I don't know.
Yeah, that could very well be the case.
It felt like that should have been really gross, and it kind of came across cartoonish.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, it was good fun. Still, it was there was some really good fights. There were some really good little scenes.
Sure.
And I still enjoyed it quite a lot. I mean. You can't really compare it to -1.
No, they're very different.
So, different, but it deserves to be. I like that. Like you said, I'm glad that the Americans are going the more.
I don't want to see Americans try serious Godzilla again. Just do the silly. They're good at that. It's fine.
But you say that, but it's also a bit disappointing because I loved King of the Monsters. I thought they had the right balance.
I did too. I just think that
King of the Monsters.
you know,
I think they had the right
cat's
balance.
out of the bag now. I can't
Monsters
see how they can put that back. You know, it's
No.
too late. They've gone too far.
But you say that, but then like look at the Monarch series. That was serious.
It was, but you will notice they've been very careful to keep it during that period of time.
Yeah.
And I think even the next one is like pre-King of the Monsters, right? Or during King of the Monsters, I
heading
guess.
up to that, isn't it? So
I kind of feel like they're going to keep the series there. Where it's like, oh yeah, that more kind of grounded era.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what the future holds. For now, like I said, you know, I can have my cake and eat it. And
I would recommend -1 to anybody.
Me too. It's a wonderful film.
Just like the original, it's a genuinely brilliant
film.
You know, film with great performances, great acting. You know, great all over. Just a really stunning piece of filming.
Absolutely.
Godzilla Loves Kong. I would say, do you like silly Godzilla movies? Then this is for you.
Yeah.
It's that. It's if you like the last couple, then you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. If you loved Godzilla vs Kong, you'll love this.
Yeah. I mean, there was still some bits where there were some real bits where they were like, oh, they're going the Guardians of the Galaxy route with Trapper's music and him flying around in that stupid thing. It was like,
yeah.
Oh, this feels very Guardians.
Did you also feel like they completely undercut Godzilla's power up? Because like they're like, oh my god, yeah. Godzilla's turning into his ultimate form, and then he goes after Kong, and Kong kicks his ass immediately, and I was like, wasn't he going to be even more powerful now? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they did make such a. I mean, oh god, there's the guy in the submarine following them.
Oh yeah, that's another exposition guy.
His whole job is he's another Basil exposition. He's just there going, Godzilla's gone inside the.
Godzilla's doing this. It's like Godzilla King of the Monsters, the American version of the 1954.
Yes.
And they've just got like what's his name?
Raymond Burr.
Raymond Burr just narrating what's going on. That's basically Submarine Man. He's like, Godzilla's doing this, and now he's charging up.
It's like, well, thanks, dude. I would never have known what he's doing if you hadn't told me. Poor bastard. It's
like, dude, you're watching on a fucking sub monitor. I can see it for real. I can see what's going on better than you can, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that was terrible. But yeah, it's not a great movie, but it is a fun one.
It's very fun, yeah.
I'd recommend it to people who like silly Kong movies. It's that simple. It's, you know,
yeah.
If you want a serious movie, you go for one. You skip the other, I think.
I agree. So, I will go with. Actually, let's go with the film that the film I watched longest ago, and I'm in danger of forgetting. In the Land of Saints and Sinners.
Oh, okay.
Directed by Robert Lorenz, starring Liam Neeson, Kerry Condon, Desmond Eastwood, and Connor McNeil. So it's set in the late 70s, I think, during the Troubles, and a group of IRA, a bombing goes wrong, and some kids and parents killed. So this group have to flee. They flee to this small Irish village, I guess, where Liam Neeson lives. Liam Neeson is Finbar. He is an assassin.
Of course he is.
Well, yeah. He's an assassin, but he's not a Taken assassin. Like he's not a martial arts Taken dude.
Right.
He basically just kind of knocks people out, takes them to the middle of nowhere, and shoots them with a shotgun. That's his thing.
Yeah.
So what he does is he's told to assassinate people. He assassinates them by basically, or when we see him do it, he kind of befriends them. Then he knocks them out. They wake up tied up. He shoots them, and then he buries them, and he plants a tree where he buries them.
Wow.
And there's this great scene actually where he takes
somewhere there's a forest. There.
Yeah, no. So he takes the guy there at the start of the movie, and the guy wakes up and he's like, all of these planted trees. Like, how many people have you killed? Because it's quite clear he's killed like quite a few people. There's like a small forest growing here now, you know.
Yeah.
So he's trying to get out of the game. He's friends with the local, you know, policeman.
Garda.
Yes. And they go shooting together, and they've got quite a nice friendship between them.
I'm presuming it's Kieran Hines, yeah.
Yes, yeah, wonderful performance.
They're like best mates anyway.
Yeah, I know, and it's really obvious. Their chemistry is like undeniable on screen. You know,
I think they live together. I think they
really. That's really nice because obviously Liam Neeson's wife died, so I guess
they lived together when they were doing Excalibur, if I remember rightly.
Oh wow!
Because they.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant they live together now.
No, not now. No. Like years ago. Because I think they sort of both thought who was going to get Helen Mirren.
Right.
And Neeson did. They were together for a while, I think.
So this group are hiding out, these IRA bombers. And the talk of the village is that the village sign's been damaged. It's been knocked over. And it's actually been knocked over by the IRA guys. They were speeding around a corner and hit it on the way up to this family house. It's the sister of Kerry Condon's character. And basically, or no, it's her. It's one of the IRA guys. Is I can't remember if they're related. I think they are. So anyway, they're hiding out there because they're family, basically. But they've damaged the sign, so the policeman's investigating the sign. But Finbar ends up killing one of the IRA bombers, basically because he finds out that he's abusing this woman's daughter.
Right.
At which point, Dorian, played by Kerry Condon, goes mental. Because it's her brother that's been killed. She is savagely angry. And all she does from that point on is be consumed by vengeance and rage that she must find who killed her brother and obliterate them from the face of the earth.
Okay.
So what we have is a small village where Finbar is well liked. Obviously people don't know he's an assassin. He's trying to get out, but now he's done this, and the IRA, this small group of IRA that are in hiding, are basically risking their cover to find out who killed this member of their group and take them down. And I really enjoyed this movie. I think that I like the 70s as a period. I really love those beautiful Irish landscapes. That kind of elevates the film visually, I think. I was glad that Liam Neeson wasn't just like another Taken dude.
I did see the trailer for this and I thought, I don't think I'll.
Yeah, and I was kind of glad it wasn't that, because that was my worry as well. I kind of put it on thinking I'd probably stop quite quickly after putting it on.
But he kind of has fallen into a sort of.
He really has. God, every movie he's done recently has been that.
Yeah, and they've got, don't get me wrong, the first one or two Taken movies are good.
Yeah, especially the first one. I really enjoyed the first one.
And, it was okay for a bit, him doing that, but now it's a bit, it's a bit much now.
It's played out, and I was quite glad that he's a different kind of person here. Someone that's trying to give up and get out of that line of work. He seems like a really pleasant person, he's made friends in the village and stuff. So it's a very different movie from Taken, thankfully.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes I thought were really tense. I thought Kerry Condon was superb as Dorian. She's just insanely angry and very kind of terrifying as a result. So yeah, the soundtrack was superb as well. I think it's one of those, like, it's not an amazing movie. It's not going to blow your mind, but it's very entertaining, and I think it's supported by a terrific cast and a really lovely setting. So yeah, not amazing, but certainly if you want to kill like an hour and a half or something, you could do far worse.
Yeah. Okay, well, no, I might give that one a go after then.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth a look.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the trailer, I did the whole him and Kieran Hines. I thought, oh, okay, that's kind of,
Yeah,
you're at least going to be safe with those two performances at least.
Yeah.
But I did sort of think, oh, I don't know if I can cope with another bloody Take-Any type thing. But
yeah,
if
that was my worry.
If it's not a Take-Any thing, then yeah, I'll give it a go.
Yeah. So anyway, what else have you watched?
So I also watched the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Conduct. Is that the right name?
I think so.
Ungentlemanly Warfare. Sorry,
okay.
I knew it wasn't quite right.
I knew which film you were talking about.
So this is the, as they put it, highly fictionalized version of Operation. What was it called? Operation Postmaster. And it's basically about the sort of the birth of the sort of the Secret Service, the SAS type missions, as we now know them. So you're introduced to Henry Cavill's Gus March Phillips, who is clearly a bit of a wrong one that nobody within in the higher orders like, because he's a rogue and he likes to do things his way.
Of course.
And Henry Cavill is charming as fuck as this dude. He's really good. Then basically he's told that he's brought before Churchill and Ian Fleming.
Oh, nice.
Ian Fleming played by Freddie Fox, which I thought was quite cool. Freddie Fox increasingly looking and sounding like his father and his uncle.
Yeah.
So he's told that the Americans can't make it across the Atlantic because of the U-boats. They need to do something about the U-boats. However, the Churchill wants to do underhanded tactics. He wants to use underhanded tactics, let's say.
Yeah.
And all the generals and the admirals, all the higher ups of the forces don't want to play that way. They want to keep it civil and they want appeasement. They want to go, no, we'll appease Hitler and it'll be fine. And Churchill's like, no, it fucking won't. If we do that, they'll just come and take us over. It's not. That's not going to happen. So he's got these two agents played by Isa Gonzalez and Babs also. I'm going to really screw your name up, dude. Olusamokan, who are in sort of Africa, and she's posing as a sort of I think she's posing as an American gold person, sort of in selling gold and things.
Uh-huh.
And he's this sort of like nightclub owner sort of thing that has been sort of working secretly against the Germans down there. They're setting up this thing for them to come in, and what they're hoping is they can destroy all of the supplies for the U-boats, so that the U-boats will be out of commission for a while, which gives enough time.
Gives them a window.
Yeah, so it gives them enough time for the Americans to basically come over.
Okay.
So he obviously, Cavill, Gus March Phillips, he gets gets his A team together. So you've got Alan Richardson as Anders Larsson. You've got Alex Pettyfer. You've got Hero Finds Tiffin. So he's got his little. Oh, I need this person, for the explosions, and this person for the
Hannibal face. I need this guy. Need this guy to fly the plane. I need
exactly. So
Murdoch.
They tell you, oh, he's a nutter, and he's a nutter.
Uh-huh.
And,
so they're all insane in their own ways, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're all, and by all accounts, they kind of were in real life as well. But obviously,
this is obviously a highly exaggerated.
Yeah, and there's a couple of times which really does make me laugh, that there's like a couple of shots of like the group sort of walking, towards camera sort of thing, and they just look like a bunch of male models for a hipster catalogue.
Well, I guess because of the period, yeah.
Yeah, because the outfits they're in, and the Cavill with this.
I was gonna say Cavill looks like a fucking model all the time, but I guess now you've got him in World War II period.
Exactly. Yeah. He's got this extravagant beard with sort of like curled moustaches, and you've got Alan Richardson, who has no right to be in a Second World War movie. The guy he's just the biggest slab of meat. He just looks so chiseled. And so sort of
it's not a 40s body. Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's ridiculous.
The two of them, they're just so big and sort of sculpted. It's like, no. I mean, by all means, I'm sure the real Anders Larsson was a big guy.
I'm sure they were in shape, but they're
exactly. I mean, it's funny when you see pictures.
I don't think they were injecting steroids and fucking.
Yeah, exactly. You do see pictures of them at the end, and you're like, "Yep, they look absolutely nothing like
of course not.
the people they're portraying," which is fine.
But I mean, they make it clear that this is an exaggerated comedy of
clearly it's an over the top version of Fence.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it for the most part. It's got some the action scenes are good. That's the main.
Well,
thing.
That's the key.
Yeah, that's the thing that will keep you going. There is some really good action scenes, and there's nice tense moments as well. I was a little bit, fine. Elsa Gonzalez's character is okay. It was like, okay, fine. It does feel very much like it's a movie that you could watch with Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually. They sound like a double bill.
Yeah, it's very Inglourious Bastards. Even to the sort of, there's a moment where somebody figures out, one of the bad guys figures out something, and you're like, oh, that's a bit, okay, fine. It's like in that one you get the fingers, and
it's a little too close.
Yeah, this one's a mispronunciation or a word used which isn't German, it's Yiddish, so it's like, oh well, that which was a bit like, oh, you didn't really need to do that, or you maybe not need to do it that way. It was a bit there. Yeah, they're all fine. They're all brilliantly over the top for a Guy Ritchie movie. It's kind of what it is. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Inglourious Bastards. I think Inglourious Bastards never did anything for me. Other than the interrogation scene at the beginning, and the scene with the actual the fingers bit. Those scenes I think are good scenes in a movie that I could quite happily never watch again. This one I think I like this a little better than that, but I think I'm going to be in the minority there because I think people do love Inglourious Bastards.
I don't dislike it. I enjoy it, but
probably my least favorite of the Tarantino movies.
Yeah, probably is for me as well. Actually,
yeah.
Thinking about it, I mean, it's not bad, but
no, it's not terrible. But I just don't like it. It's just never done anything. So yeah, you get great action scenes. There's some nice little sort of interactions with the crew. Yeah, they're suitably silly. I did think Rory Kinnear, who I love, I think he's a fantastic actor. I mean, he was even good in that awful Men movie because
I liked Men. I know you hated it. I know you did.
I know you hated it. But his performances were great in that.
That was actually one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite episodes of this show, actually.
The one
where you shit all over the film. It was like my film of the year. Because I like, that's what I like about this show. We don't always agree. We don't have to. It's fine. No, I know you thoroughly disliked Men.
But I think he's a great actor.
Yeah,
However,
and he is great in Men. You're right. Whether you like Men or not,
yeah,
great performance. Yes.
the performances in that movie were not the problem with
No,
that movie.
absolutely.
They were both fantastic performances. But Roy Kinnear, I think, is a fantastic. He makes a terrible Winston Churchill.
It's a weird casting choice, I must admit.
He hasn't quite got the voice right, and the prosthetics they use make him look more weird than you know. It's not Gary Oldman levels of good prosthetics, but then I think they paid a lot of money to get Gary Oldman to look like Churchill.
Well, I mean, that movie was literally Churchill.
About Churchill, yeah. So
like if they fucked that up, with
yeah. I thought his performance was very odd as Churchill. That didn't quite work for me, but it was fine. Almost everybody else is great. You got Cary Elwes is this sort of Brigadier Grubins, basically M, who's the sort of he's the guy who wants to be in charge of this. He thinks that the ungentlemanly warfare thing is a good idea, so he's there as sort of Churchill's second, if you like, in affairs of this nature. So you get it's sort of a minor role, but he's cool, and he seems to have fallen into this sort of like a M roles, because he was previously in a similar role in the other one of the other earlier Guy Ritchie movies, that one that I really liked and you didn't so much, the one with Statham.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that one as much.
Yeah, so he's sort of fallen into that role now, and I think which works really well for him. It's he's suitably English enough to play the sort of general.
And he's I assume that this group are kind of looked down upon, aside from a couple of people. So he's the one standing up for.
Yeah,
for them.
Yes, basically.
So he's the Sterling K. Brown to Jennifer Lopez in a movie we'll get to shortly.
I would have said he's more the oh, god damn it, the other guy, the English guy. No, the English guy, the general in Atlas.
Oh, what is his name?
Oh, that's so bad.
Mark Strong.
Mark Strong, thank you.
Yeah.
He's more the Mark Strong character.
Jake Booth.
Yeah.
I've got my notes here. I'm ready.
Overall, it's a nice little movie. It's got some. As I said, it's got some great action scenes in it.
Yeah.
Which is exactly which is what you really want for this thing. There is a lot of stuff that didn't quite work for me.
It sounds like the film knows what it is, though. It's not,
Yeah, that's the thing that stops it from being terrible, I think, is the fact that it knows what it is, and it's for the most part doing a pretty good job. I really liked, there was one character who's like, I think they call him the Prince or something. He's where was he? He's another actor that's been in a lot of really cool things. He was in Penny Dreadful. He was really good in Penny Dreadful. He plays this sort of like this African sort of prince who studied at Cambridge, and he's really posh. He's really funny. I really liked his character. He was really cool. So yeah, there's some really cool little performances in it. And overall, I did really enjoy it, and I would recommend it to Guy Ritchie fans and mostly war fans.
I like Guy Ritchie. I've said before, I think he's quite hit and miss for me.
Yeah,
but when he hits, yeah.
I think if you're looking for I think that's one of my problems with the movie, is that I would have liked to have seen a version of Operation Postmaster as a sort of more Band of Brothers-y type thing,
as a more serious,
slightly more serious, sort of less tongue in cheek.
Like you said, once you've hired Alan Richardson and fucking Henry Cavill, you're like, well,
yeah. We're
clearly going in a direction for this film.
We're going almost superhero territory here. So if you're looking for a sort of Band of Brothers type thing,
this ain't it.
This is not it. If you're looking for a more of a Inglourious Bastards type affair, then this will be your right up your alley.
Okay, well, it sounds interesting. I am planning on seeing it at some point. So
Yeah, I said I would definitely recommend it. It's actually an enjoyable movie. So yeah.
Ah, cool. Well, I will quickly touch on a film you've previously covered, Land of Bad, which I finally caught up with. It was one you actually you were pretty highly praising of it, so I thought
I really liked it.
It was worth a go. Directed by William Eubank, starring starring all the fucking Hemsworths. Liam Hemsworth, Luke Hemsworth, all of the ones really except the main one. Yeah. And Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
So you've previously reviewed this one, so I won't go into too much detail. But basically, it follows two main characters. It follows a drone operator played by Russell Crowe. And a member of a special forces unit who basically manages the drones. He's not. I think this is his first field mission, right?
Yeah.
So this Army Special Forces unit is basically sent in to retrieve an intelligence asset. They take with them this inexperienced Air Force drone operator.
I think the thing with his character is that I think he's done missions, but he's usually
back at base. You know, he's not on the front line. He's not in the thick of it.
Basically commandeered by the special forces unit.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, you've done Halo jumps, haven't you? And he's like, no.
Yeah, I think that was a joke, though, wasn't it? They were just shitting with him at that point.
I'm not sure they were. I think,
I thought he said it just to fuck with him, but maybe not, because we don't actually see him do one. So I kind of thought it was a joke. But yeah, we're kind of introduced to Liam Hemsworth's character as he's trying to Sergeant J.J. Kinney is his character's name, and we see him trying to choose between like Fruit Loops and Cheerios or something at the start of the movie.
I really like that scene.
There were a couple of scenes that I think will annoy people that I actually kind of liked in this movie.
That's exactly what I said.
I really liked the shopping scene, but we'll get to it in a bit.
That's kind of my favourite scene.
Yeah, mine too, actually. But anyway, so he's sent with this special forces unit to retrieve this intelligence asset. Everything goes to shit, and due to that, Kinney believes that he is on his own. And we basically have the movie you've seen a million times before. It's Behind Enemy Lines. It's that movie, a single soldier stuck behind enemy lines, or at least that's the way it appears at first. But we have the Eddie Grim Reaper, who is played by Russell Crowe, who is the drone operator. He has a direct line to Kinney, and the two kind of strike it off. They're both from the same place. They're both from Minnesota or something like that. They're both from the same area anyway.
Yeah,
and they grew up in similar areas, and they form this friendship whilst Reaper tries to get Sergeant Kinney out. One of the things I really liked about this film is I actually thought it did. It's so goddamn crazy that we're in this position now where I'm praising this as a thing because it should just happen.
Yeah.
But it's a film with a hero's journey.
Yeah.
And I quite like, I'm like, wow, that's refreshing. We actually got a traditional hero's journey here. Liam Hemsworth, who I thought actually gave a really good performance in this movie. He comes in, he's green, he's terrified, he doesn't want to be on the front lines, he's in over his head, and he has to overcome his fears, he has to overcome, great odds and stakes to get out of this situation. And I thought the film handled that really well. It's full of all
the cliches.
Of course it is.
But it knows what it's doing, and it does it well.
It reminds me of, because it was made for quite a modest budget. And these movies, there used to be so many of these type of movies, these kind of mid-tier, mid-budget action movies. You just don't see them anymore, and they're fine. They're not going to blow your mind.
I think it's because the market's different now.
It is, yeah, of course.
Stuff you were talking about, we're all straight to straight to video jobs.
Yeah, and they just don't
That
exist.
we all, all lapped up because you knew what you were getting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just don't get those anymore. So it's kind of almost refreshing when we do.
Yeah.
I will say, I thought for the budget, I thought some of the cinematography was pretty good actually in this.
Yeah, I think they do a really good job with the scenery and some beautiful scenes of them when he's hiding from the things. Brilliant.
I think William Eubank really put together some really tense scenes. Actually, the like you said, the scenes of him hiding.
Yeah.
As these enemy forces search for him, I thought were quite tense. Actually, I thought they were really well directed.
The scene of him in the riverbed is
that was the exact scene I was thinking of. There's a couple of scenes, but that one I think is the standout for me.
Yeah.
With the dog. That scene's incredible.
You've got what I love is you've got the added sort of, the added point of view of Crow and his second, who can see what's going on. They know they can't see him. They know he's there, but they can see the bad guys, and they can see. Yeah,
they're his eye in the sky, basically.
Yeah, so they've got you've got the added tension of them, going, keep down, don't fucking move yet, stay where you are. Wait, we'll give you your opening. We'll give you.
Yeah, and I liked that early on, very early on, in fact, Reaper uses the drone to take out a bunch of enemy forces. But he expends all of his ammo, and at that point he's like, right, I can literally be your eye in the sky, and that's it for a while. Like you're gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while before we can, get some ordnance in there to actually help you again. So then he is just the eye in the sky. And I loved the contrast between Sergeant Kenny on the ground, getting hunted, getting tortured, all of these things going on, and the drone pilots, and their asshole squadron, who were just happy watching basketball.
They were the other pilots and stuff. They were assholes. They were a little too over the top at times.
Yes, I agree. It was bordering on cartoonish.
Yes, it really was.
I think what held that, I think Liam Hemsworth did a fantastic job. The on the ground stuff works fine. The stuff with the drone pilots back at base would fall apart were it not for Russell Crowe.
Absolutely.
He is so great in this movie. I love his character. His character is a joy to watch. Like, I genuinely loved him in this movie.
He is completely all the cliches. He is literally
he's great, and he's so charming. He's still got that
loads of experience.
He's still got the charm, though, Russell Crowe.
Yes.
He's still got that charm, and he just oozes it. And it's like,
yes, the lesser actor, it would have been fucking awful.
Yeah.
You would not have been believed it remote.
Like watching some fuck bumble around a shopping mart.
That
if it wasn't Russell Crowe, that scene works so. Scene. Yeah, mine too.
Because you've got the really cool.
It's a wonderful
juxtaposition of him getting tortured.
Yes, the contrast is superb.
Him getting tortured, and then you're Russell Crowe
searching for vegan cheese.
Asking a guy do you do this vegan cheese or?
Yeah, because he's really specific about the type of cheese, and I like when the guy has it, he's like, I would have put money on you not having that.
Yeah, it's so lovely.
It's great.
It's so neatly done. I loved it, and when he gets to the car,
I am vegan, and I laughed at that. So I laughed at his vegan jokes. They were good. So
it's great. That is my favourite scene. That whole
the only part that kind of almost fell down, but Russell Crowe just dragged it over, was when it got really preachy at the end. The speech. But again, Russell Crowe manages to land it.
For the most part, I actually thought they did a pretty good job of
showing the two worlds.
Balancing the idea of, you need the boots on the ground, but you also need in this day and age, you need the boots on the ground, but you also need this technology.
Yes, and it saved his life. We see it saved his life multiple times during the film.
I think they did a pretty good job of balancing
Yeah, and I think if you understand that the because otherwise it seems very random, but and it makes sense in context. The contrast of the drone pilot shopping
Mm.
with the boots on the ground being tortured
Yeah.
is a really good contrast. It was great, and like you, I loved that scene. I feel like a lot of people will hate it.
Oh, I think there will be people that will not understand why it's there.
Yeah,
Why?
I think it made the movie for me actually. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um.
stuff like that. Elevated this movie from being a straight to DVD job. It was.
Yeah.
I think if without that, it would have just been another missing in action movie.
Yeah, absolutely. That side story, the story of the drone operator who's distracted because his wife's about to give birth, and he's worried about getting groceries, and like all of this stuff,
Yeah.
and what seemingly is just a well, not a innocuous comment, but a something you don't give much priority, or not necessarily the kind of priority they should give to the scene, where Russell Crowe's like, hey, my pregnant wife's gonna phone. Can you make sure you listen out for that phone, please?
Yeah.
By the end of the movie, you're like, Jesus Christ, answer the phone.
Yeah.
Like
there's a whole group of you twats, and not one of you can fucking pick up the phone.
Yeah. I really honestly thought this was a great action movie for what it is.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
It's again, it's not gonna.
Oh no, it's not gonna blow your socks off or anything. But
what it is it's a really well done movie with some just great scenes that, like I said, just elevate it over that.
Yeah.
Standard.
It separates it for sure.
Lost troop trying to get back, sort of thing.
Which we've seen a million times. The drone operator definitely adds an element, and I think the performances kind of get it over the line for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, very enjoyable. What else have you watched?
So I have also seen Scavenger's Reign.
Yeah, now I haven't seen this, but I love the art style.
Yeah, so this is it's an animated TV series.
It's a series. Okay.
Yeah, it's a series. It's I think 12 parts. I think. Yeah, 12 sort of 20-minute, half an hour parts. It's I think Netflix are getting it soon, so I would encourage everybody to watch it, because it was basically cancelled after one season, and Netflix have picked it up with the option that they could continue it if enough people watch it. And I would say, watch it. This is a really good series.
So we need to make that happen, is what you're saying.
So basically, this is about the crew of the Demeter. Is it like?
That's not a healthy name for a ship.
Yeah, it's like the Demeter 357 or something like that. Demeter something. So they're
on the Starship Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, why would you call it the fucking Demeter, you lunatics? So they're a crew of this colony ship, and very quickly it's established that the wider sort of group of like wider company or whatever it is doesn't really give a shit about them. They're like, this ship's gone missing. Oh well, never mind, eh? I'm like, oh, okay. So basically, this you don't know exactly what happens yet. It's revealed as it goes on. But basically, the ship has an incident, and it starts breaking up. So they escape. A group of them escape. There's still a lot of colonists asleep on the ship, and you're basically introduced to three groups of people. So you've got it's Azzy and Levi, who is I think she's an engineer, and Levi is this robot that that is with her and helping her out. So you've got those, and they've been there for a number of. It looks like I think a a couple of months actually. It's a certain amount of time, and they've got used to they've acquired knowledge of how certain things work. So they've got they know how these weird creatures work. So you've got them, then you've got Sam and Ursula, who Sam was the captain, and Ursula was a botanist. So you've got those two, and then you've got this guy called Cayman, who is on his own. Basically, his pod came down in some trees, and he hasn't been able to get out when you first meet him. So he's been stuck in this capsule for weeks, barely surviving. Whereas Ursula and Sam have been surviving relatively well. As I said, there are things like they've got these like creatures that they're using as air masks, air breathers and stuff. It's like really gross, and they've figured out how to avoid certain creatures and all that sort of stuff. So it's a very French. It's very inspired by Moebius and that sort of thing, and it feels like a very cool sort of classic sci-fi story. It's really cool, really beautifully animated, and the voice cast is really, really good. It gets to almost Lynchian levels of gross.
Okay.
Creatures. Like, almost everything on this planet either wants to kill you or impregnate you with something so that you become something else.
Sure.
It's got some really horrible, horrible fates for people in it. And it's about these basically these sort of three groups of people coming back together to try and get what's remaining of the ship and save the rest of the colonists that are on, what's left of the Demeter. So it is a sort of a journey story of them trying to sort of survive in this fucking awful fucking planet, and it's weirdly beautiful as well. It's gross and it's beautiful, and it also reminded me of. Have you ever seen Fantastic Planet?
Yeah,
that French movie from early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It's that sort of level of weird animals and
that's cool. And
sort of it's like a cross between that and a sort of Ghibli sort of designs. It's sort of like you've got sort of weird Totoro type things walking around, but you've also got really gross things that take your DNA and then grow a new version of you to kill you and spread itself. It's really gross, and I think some people will probably be really put off by a lot of the weird, gross stuff. But it's really cool. I really loved it. It's, as I said, the animation's really cool. The voice cast is really good, and I love what they did with it. And it feels very much like a one of those sci-fis that you used to get, where it's like people arrive on a savage planet and weird things happen, and it's got that sort of almost Lost in Space type feel. It's really, I really loved it. I would recommend it to anybody who wants to see something a little bit different. Obviously, it's not as completely original as all that, because it is very Moebius and very.
But that's fine.
French sci-fi thing. Yeah, exactly. It's fine. I would say there's nothing like this around at the moment.
Well, I mean, I was going to say I don't know anything about this. Didn't even know it existed until I asked you what you'd watched to get the thumbnail. But I will say I was immediately taken by the art style.
Yeah, I think you'd love it. I think
it looks great.
Really enjoy it. It is a really cool sci-fi show that does a really good job of that whole cool sort of space opera type stuff. It's got these great sort of characters and these great interactions with these weird and wonderful sort of creatures that just yes, this is what weird fantasy weird sort of fantasy sci-fi should be like.
Absolutely.
This is you'd struggle to do it in real life, but they can do it perfectly in this animated way, and there are so there's a stigma attached to Western animation that it's animation's just for kids, and it boggles my mind that that's still a thing. Like people can
absolutely still is.
People can accept anime, but when it's American or European, there's still this sort of weird cut off.
A lot of people still won't accept anime. I know most of the people in our circles do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've like talked before about anime, and some people just give you that look, like, really?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You a child? It is like,
that's
really?
it. It's so perceived. It's just for children.
Yeah.
And this is not. It's so not. It's so like grim and gross at times.
That sounds great.
It's really cool. There's some real sort of nasty body horror in it. There's some real cool sci-fi stuff. There's some really cool ship designs and just for me the actual people were really cool characters that I wanted to either survive or in one case didn't want to survive. But
sure.
I don't want to spoil anything, but I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's certainly scope for it to continue should they wish to. I would love quite happily watch another season of it. I would probably say you don't need another season really. So I think some people will not be quite as satisfied by the ending as I was. But it leaves you with enough questions that you can go, oh, okay, well, I do want to know more, so hopefully it will get another season.
Oh, well, I hope so.
I really loved it. It's a really cool sci-fi show that just isn't around at the moment. There's just not enough really good, well-done sci-fi, and this is a perfect thing for that.
Cool. Well, speaking of original movies, like nothing you've ever seen before that will absolutely blow your mind, we saw Atlas. I must confess, I mainly only watched this because I assumed you were going to watch it. And then I had this horrible moment where I realized you might not have done.
Yeah.
So I kind of got you to watch it.
You did.
Because I was like, well, I've just suffered through it.
I kind of came close to it, and I thought, no, I'm not going to. I'm gonna skip it. And then when you said, oh, I watched this by the way, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to watch it.
So, directed by Brad Payton, starring Jennifer Lopez and Simu Liu. Basically, following an AI revolt, this group of AI soldiers escape, and the leader of the AI soldiers, Simu Liu, has decided that the only way to bring peace to the galaxy is basically to eliminate most of humanity. He's doing a Thanos, and it's down to the military and an analyst, Jennifer Lopez, to go and take him down. Jennifer Lopez's character, who I've already forgotten the name of, is
Atlas Shepard.
Oh no, her name is fucking Atlas. That's why this film's called Atlas. Yeah, there we go. Atlas Shepard. She's an analyst, but she has a history with the AI in question, the AI leader in question, and his cohorts. So she's brought in when their ship is attacked. She ends up in a mech suit on a planet and has to work together with an AI robot, the mech suit, called Sam, I think. And they must join forces to take...
Called
Smith. I knew it began with an S. Yeah, this movie. This is the movie I watched most recently, and it is disappearing from my brain so fast. So this, I mean, the dialogue in this film is so bad.
I was inspired by Titanfall. No fucking shit.
No shit. You were inspired by a lot of things. There is no originality in this film at all. I thought it kind of struck me. Well, a couple of things struck me. One was like, this looks like a high budget asylum movie in places. The opening in particular is awful. Like the way it's directed is straight to DVD trash. And it felt to me like something that like a 14, 15-year-old would write who has never watched science fiction in their life, and they think this is the most mind-blowingly original thing ever. You know, like this is such well-trodden ground by greats of science fiction writing.
See, I would have said it was a 14-year-old boy that has seen Aliens.
Yeah, or has seen Aliens. Yeah,
and played Titanfall.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm giving them too much credit. It's basically a rip-off of a bunch of things. Is what this film is.
Yeah.
But worse than that, the dialogue is awful in this film.
Oh god, and it drags like fuck as well.
It really does. It's not that long of a movie, but it drags.
And I thought, God, they could cut out half an hour of this, and it would be so much better. I mean,
I was immediately put on the wrong foot by Jennifer Lopez's Atlas. There is a scene where she addresses the troops, and they have this thing where they sync with their Titan. We'll call them Titans because that's what they are. They sync with their Titans and the AI. So they're synced with the AI, and then they function as one, basically. So the mech suit is like an extension of your own body because you're synchronized. She chastises all of them for using AI, and she's like, oh my god, AI is what got us in this mess. AI is terrible. It's going to be the end of us. And I would have understood that as a point from her character, were it not for the fact that 5 minutes before her, I saw her wake up in her fucking AI-driven house full of fucking AI, playing chess with AI, getting the AI to fucking talk to her and answer all of her bloody questions in life and do everything in her fucking life.
You'd have thought her character would just be flicking buttons and stuff.
Right, that's
everything manually.
Would that not have made so much more sense for this movie if they'd done that? If you'd seen that she lives in an analog life, she's given up.
She should be. What's his face from iRobot?
Yeah, they were ripping off things. Why not rip off that bad movie?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. But that's also one of my favourite bits as well. Was when she wakes up and, you know, they establish very quickly she's really smart because she's won 70 odd games of chess in a row.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And she's got tousled hair and she wears glasses. She's clever.
She is very smart. She acts like a fucking moron the entire film.
Oh god, yeah.
But she's very smart. Well, I mean, she's an analyst. She's out of her depth. She's not a field operative.
They also established quite early on as well that she's got a great ass.
Well, that's hard to miss.
Especially at the end, when Mark Strong comes into her apartment and that. There is it's like a wide shot of her bum, like the whole. It's just watching her ass go up the corridor. It's like, okay, well. I mean, I'm not complaining, but I just thought it was hilarious that it's like, yep, we know you've got a great ass.
we know, that even in your 50s, pushing 60, we know.
She's 50, oh yeah.
I mean, I'm glad. I will say, I am a fan of Hollywood still casting older actresses. Mm-hmm. It is a rarity. So I will say that that's a good thing. It's a shame it happened in this bloody movie. Obviously, Jennifer Lopez still carries a lot of weight, so of course she's still going to get roles.
Yeah. I mean, I would say
I thought her performance was good, actually. Like, given the lines that she had, I thought she did well with what she had.
She spends a lot of time screaming and crying, which was just annoying.
Well, yeah, but that's the script, you know.
I mean.
She's working with the script.
Jennifer Lopez, she's really good in The Cell. I think that's a genuinely good movie that she's in.
Really good in Maid of Manhattan. The Cell's great.
The Cell is a fantastic. I think she's really good in The Cell. I think that's a good. It's actually a good movie.
She's not a bad actress when she.
She's not terrible. I'll give her that. She's not. I think she's slightly better than Madonna.
Yeah.
And even Madonna is okay in some things. I mean, she was okay in League of Their Own, but that's mainly because she's carried by really great actresses. So she's okay in that. But yeah, so she's better than that. But I mean, fair play to her. She spends most of the movie front and center, you're concentrating right on her face for most of the movie.
I thought she did a fine job with what she had. I mean, what she
Yeah,
had was terrible as a script, but
yeah.
I thought she did fine with it.
She's the supporting cast of Sterling K. Brown and Mark Strong are like, why are you two in this movie?
Yeah.
You must have been after the payday, surely, because they're massively underused, and like every time they're on screen, it just sort of gets a little bit higher. It's just a little bit elevated, and then they go away again, and you're like, oh, can you not bring them back?
Simu Liu is barely acting in this film.
Oh, he's terrible.
And the thing is, you'd be like, okay, well, he's an AI. He's meant to be like that. No, because his subordinate AIs, the black actor, I can't think of his name. He was great. Like, it's like, well, he's acting, he's emoting, he's giving a performance. Why aren't you giving a performance, Simu Liu?
Yeah, I thought he was way more.
He was a way better villain. They should have made him the AI.
Yeah, they should have made him the main villain.
He should have been the number
way
one.
More charming.
He was far better.
He's the size of a fucking bear. He was way more scary.
Yeah, I thought he was great. What is that actor's name?
He was terrible. He was. I mean, maybe he just didn't get enough to do, but the other guy had just as much to work with, and he was much more of a presence.
I think it was Abraham Papula as Cascus.
Yeah.
He was a way better villain.
Mm-hmm.
A far better villain.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, there were whole bits in this movie where, like, they've established that she's survived.
Yes.
And the bad guys just send him.
Yeah.
I mean, she's taken out some of the others, but you think, haven't you got like an army of drones?
You basically run the planet.
Yeah, why are you not sending your army of drones after her? Why are you just keeping this one dude after her? That's so fucking weird. And also, they've come to.
I like the bit when she nukes half the planet,
I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they come there. Why does their base look like a sort of dilapidated, broken, sort of rotting thing? It's like, why haven't they built?
I would have thought it would be like an AI efficient structure of like it was that kind of head canon, or well, it probably wasn't. I guess it ended up being a conscious decision on the part of James Cameron when he cast Arnold as the Terminator, because originally it was meant to blend in. But then it was like, no, this is the idea of like, well, it's a machine. They've overcompensated its perfection in a human. Like, they've gone too far. And you almost expect that. You expect to go there and it's like, oh my god, look at this incredibly efficient, perfect looking utopian city that they've built, because they're He
even says at one point, we're better than you, sort of thing.
I don't see any evidence of that though.
No.
Yeah.
You're living on a shithole and you haven't done anything with it. It looks
didn't
weird.
even build any real just bizarre.
I mean, let's face it, this movie it's completely sold wrong. It's sold as an action sci-fi movie. What it is a love story sci-fi movie. Because basically she ends up, spoilers, falling in love with her AI suit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jennifer Lopez falls in love with her toy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
I will say, I thought Smith was actually
were okay.
Smith was actually quite a good performance. I actually quite enjoyed some of Smith.
Some of his lines were all right. They were quite funny at times. Some of the idea was he's learning from her and getting her mannerisms and the way she swears and things, which was sort of a little naff, but actually funny.
Yeah, like they said that as they synchronized, they were getting parts of each other, so it started swearing and started taking on some of her mannerisms. There were some I quite enjoyed Smith pointing out how stupid she was in places.
Yeah.
Where the bits where she's like, "Oh, stop getting in my head," and he's like, "Your name's literally on your name tag."
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny.
What uninspired designs though for all of this stuff. These mechs are like, oh my god, the most generic things you've ever seen.
Yeah.
The ships is like, oh jeez, everything. It's such an uninspired, lazy mess of a movie.
And then what made also the futuristic LA was like they just stuck a few buildings on it and some more turbines and things. It's like, wow, that's your future city? Great. You haven't really done a lot, have you? It's like, I know it's only, I mean, it's supposed to be like, what, 20 years in the future?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's fine. Only 20 years, but you've got spaceships that can jump galaxies. So
yes,
we're pretty advanced now, right?
Yeah, you can traverse the stars. I did think as well, like Atlas has designed the fuck. Oh no, it's not that bad. I was going to say the fucking shield from Highlander 2, but it doesn't block out the sun or anything. The Earth defense shield. But she's built the Earth defense shield, and it's basically impenetrable unless you've got the codes to get through, right?
Yeah.
They've got all this technology, they've got all these ships, and I'm like, why? So you know where the fucking AI are.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just nuke the entire planet?
Yeah.
Just obliterate the entire thing.
Why are you sending...
Don't even go down.
No.
Don't go anywhere near it. Just steadily launch nukes at it until it disappears.
Why are you sending one ship with a bunch of
send everything you've got. It's the only threat you've got in the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Send everything and nuke the entire place. Just obliterate that planet. Problem solved.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so dumb. There's so many sort of times where you go, well, oh God, I'm going to spoil stuff. Like,
I don't think it matters.
Of course it's a fucking trap. You can see that coming from
Obviously it's a trap. Why did any of you go?
Yeah.
You could have just as easily sat on Earth and not gone anywhere and just left them to it. They can't get through the defense shield anyway. Well, one of them gets in, but...
Yeah. There's so many dumb things in it. It's just... There's so many times where you just go, oh, why have you done that? It's just so weird. And you... the whole sort of, you know... oh, I don't want to be linked to an AI, you know, because of my past and what happened to my mother and stuff. And you think, well, you know exactly what happened. You don't even need to really explain it, because we all know what happened. We know that you did something stupid and you got your mum killed. That we don't.
We got that.
I will say I was happy to see Lana Parrella, who was playing her mother, who I absolutely loved in as Regina in Once Upon a Time. I love that. Well, I love that series for the first sort of 3 seasons.
Yeah,
I really liked that, and she's one of the best things in that.
Well, she barely appears in this, but when she does, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and weirdly, I sort of believe her as Jennifer Lopez's mother.
Yeah, no, it worked. I will say as well, I think one of the things that really, like, again, not to bash Simu Liu, I haven't seen him in much, to be fair, but I wasn't impressed with his performance here. And like, oh God, this whole, you know, they do the thing, again, the cliched thing of like, I'm an AI. I was programmed to do what's best for humanity, and I've decided what's best for humanity is to obliterate most of them because you keep warring on each other. So I'm doing the thing that my AI programming, I'm doing what I was programmed to do. I'm doing what I believe has to be done to save humanity, right? Fine, good. Basic science fiction premise. But fine, that's good. So the AI is only doing what it believes it's best for what it's been programmed to do. Save humanity, and it determines the only way to save humanity is to cull the population down massively and put AI in charge because humans can't be trusted. Fine. Basic premise. I like it though. It's fine. What I don't like is why, if that's the case, does Simu Liu have this fucking evil grin on his face every time he's fucking doing stuff? Should he not? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, then why do you look like an evil bastard all the time?
Because they want him to be the mustache twirling villain.
I know, but then don't give him this backstory of being an AI that's just doing his job.
Yeah,
Like, he should be like, no, this is for your best. This is for your own good. I'm a righteous crusader. I'm not scowling evilly and twirling my mustache.
You clearly see him taking great pleasure in
Yes,
killing her mother.
It's completely at odds with what the script is telling me he's meant to be.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
No,
and that's not necessarily Simu Liu. I assume that's the director telling him that.
I think they've clearly told him to be.
But it's just, oh god, it was so bad. So bad. I'm sorry, Matt. I made you watch this fucking movie.
You know what? There were. It's not as bad as it could be.
No, it's not. And I must admit, some people have been like, "This is the worst film ever made," and like, it's not that bad.
It's not the worst film ever made. It's far from the worst film ever made.
Extremely generic,
but it is bad.
It's bad.
It's very bad.
It's bad, and it's extremely generic.
I mean, you know, like you said, Jennifer Lopez. At times, she's doing.
I thought she did fine with what she was given. You know,
she's annoying as fuck. This, you know, but okay, fine.
I don't buy her as an analyst. I don't buy her as the smartest woman on the planet that's built the Earth shield.
No,
but fine, whatever.
No, it's definitely a stretch too far. I'm sorry.
I think so.
You know, and there were actually some nice action moments.
Some of the action's fine. Yeah.
When she's upgraded the machine, the robot or suit, and it's got like 4 arms, and that she's trying to take down that ship. That's actually quite a nice sequence. There was some really nice sort of stuff like that, and there were some bits where, you know, they're traveling along and Smith's talking to her. They were okay, actually. They weren't too bad. You could tell they were trying to do a sort of, you know, how do I put it? A believable love story, I guess, is what they were trying to do, really. And to a certain extent, because of the two that are doing it, it's like, okay, you sort of buy it. It's fine. It's for as ludicrous as it is, that, you know, the whole sort of ongoing sync problem that they're having, you know, and you know, it's like, well, at the right moment they're going to sync perfectly. They're going to save the day. It's obvious. It's stupid, but it kind of works for what they're doing. I would say, yeah, fine. There was some enjoyment to have in this movie, but it's fucking awful.
Yeah, it's
fucking Mark Strong, man, and Sterling K. Brown.
What are they doing?
Please, like, put them in better movies, really, because I mean, they're both. I like Sterling K. Brown a lot. He's been in some really good stuff, and he delivers. You know what. You know, even the shitty role he's got here, he delivers it quite well.
They're both extremely capable actors.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, they are that glimmering hope in a movie where you're like, oh god, I wish they were in it more.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's even this sort of weird bit where they want to sort of they're torturing him. They're torturing.
There was a bit they like mash his eye out and stuff.
Yeah, and you think,
and I thought they did that to her, and then it was like, oh, what happened then? They didn't do that to her.
They don't want to. It's like, oh no, he's going to drill into her eye.
Yeah,
but you don't see it, and then
she's fine.
It's finished. She's got no problem.
She screams out in agony, and I was like, okay, and then he was like, oh no, it's fine now. I got it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's like oh. was there a clause in her contract that said, you can bash me up a bit and put some blood on me, but like don't.
But then don't write that into the script.
Take my eye out.
They could have given her like a badass eye patch by the end or something, you know?
I thought, oh, you know, they're going to make her...
Give her a character arc. She's going to become a badass. Yeah, totally.
That would have been quite, you know, sweet. I would have thought that was right, because, you know, that bit was... It's like, oh, if they've done what they've just done to him, to her, then it was like, no.
No.
I don't say that... I'm sorry, another... ridiculous. So... They've incapacitated the suit. They've
Well,
taken
not,
her out.
not very well, by the way.
No.
They haven't smashed it to pieces like you would expect them to do,
No.
or take it apart.
No,
And
they've done even worse than that.
they've left the link in place. They
and
leave
they
her with
didn't-
all of her gear. Apparently,
They didn't leave it where it was.
no, they moved it into
brought
the base.
it in.
Yeah. They brought.
Why
and
the fuck have they brought it in?
this is the AI that literally tells Jennifer Lopez Atlas not 2 minutes before that his plan is a Trojan horse. And then they bring the Trojan horse into their own base.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's even some sort of like moments where they try to sort of like be all like solemn and like all fallen soldier stuff,
Yeah,
and it's just laughable.
yeah. It's not. Just know what kind of trash you are, please. Don't do
Yeah.
this.
Oh god, yeah, it's not the worst movie ever.
No,
but it's
no.
far from good as well. So
I feel like I'm maybe being a bit too harsh on it, but
no, I don't think you
but
are.
it is bad. Like it's just not. It's not the worst thing ever, but it is.
No,
it is.
It is
real
awful,
bad.
but it's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
No.
I mean, unless maybe you want to get drunk with a couple of mates and take.
Yeah,
a
I
piss,
mean, it could be fun for that.
that might work. But I don't even think it's that entertaining enough to be that level of dumb.
No, it's not going to be consistently funny enough.
No. So yeah, I can't recommend it.
No.
It's just
No.
bad. Don't bother.
No, there's better things to watch. Even on Netflix, there's better things to watch. So, yes. Well, I think that is everything for the movies.
I think so.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
Yes, I did see that Wrath of Khan. Not Wrath of Khan, sorry. Search for Spock.
Yeah.
Got a new release for that. 4K jobby.
Oh, cool. I was like,
and
that film
re-
came out a while ago, Matt.
Yeah. And they've got a really nice new poster for it, which is really, really pretty.
Dude, I treated myself the other day to the 4K Sinbad trilogy, which I have. It's looking at me right now, and that's my like Sunday binge of the Sinbad trilogy. Lovely box set.
Golden Voyage, Seventh Voyage.
Yes, and Eye of the Tiger. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
excited! I'm excited to watch that.
I
I also bought Hulk the Slayer on Blu-ray, but that's
Oh, nice.
That's just separate.
Yeah, that's my language. Talking my language. So yeah, I think it's gonna be.
But that's very cool. They did such a wonderful job. The motion picture director's cut remaster they did was superb. So
yeah, so that is also going to be in cinemas in 14th of June.
Oh,
so yes,
that's interesting. Search for Spock in cinemas. I've never seen it in cinema, so
no, me neither. So
I might be up for that.
And it's the 40th anniversary. It's like wow, fuck. So yeah, so I think
we should, Matt. Would it be wrong to suggest that we cover that next month?
We could do, yeah.
Because it's also my 40th birthday next month, so if that film came out around my birthday, I'm kind of like, that could be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first Star Trek movie I saw in the cinema was probably
Generations for me, I think.
Generations, or I think I might have seen The Final Frontier in cinemas, actually.
Oh, okay.
I think that was my first one in the cinema.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't seen the earlier ones in the cinema, and I think it might tempt me out.
Yeah, that could be a really fun cinema trip, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. That's cool. Good. I'm glad there's getting a restoration as well. That's fantastic.
They're also releasing the Spider-Man movies in the cinemas again.
Yes, I heard that.
Which I did actually see all the Spider-Man movies in the cinema. So
I did too, and I must admit, I don't know. I'm half tempted to see Spider-Man 2 in the cinema again.
I think that would be the only one that I would definitely go see. Would be 2.
It's the only one that would tempt me. I know they were doing Transformers the animated movie as well, weren't they, in cinema?
Yeah.
Because that's just got a remaster as well.
Yep. Yeah, I'd be tempted by that actually, because I didn't see that in the cinema.
No, me either.
But yeah, so there's that's cool. So in the in the ongoing saga of trying to bring back or trying to remake Barbarella, which
you can't remake Barbarella in 2024.
Well,
that is not going to happen.
I mean, yeah, it's
how do you even make that?
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
You have to change the entire thing for that to happen.
But I mean, that movie has been attached to so many people over the years, trying to bring it, trying to redo it. So the latest is Edgar Wright.
Well, I think he could do justice to it for sure if he is given full.
Sydney Sweeney, who is the flavour of the month right now, as Barbarella, and I think I could see her as filling those space boots.
Sydney Sweeney is the she is. Yeah, she's that woman who is like the hot kind of topic right now. I don't know if I've seen her in anything ever. I was trying to think. I reviewed
one of her movies a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, no, I know, and I was thinking then, I don't think I've seen her in. If I've seen her in anything, it would have been a small role. So I haven't seen anything she's been in particularly yet.
But she's big right now, and I at least I think from what I've seen of her and the fact that she comes across as a pretty based actress,
right?
She doesn't seem quite caught up in the wokeness of Hollywood right now. Why not? I mean,
I just can't see. I can't see them pulling
I think it's a stupid idea, and I don't know how you do it. Like you said, I don't know how you make.
But Edgar Wright is a good shout for a director.
But yeah, exactly. I think, if you're going to do it, it's someone of Edgar Wright's caliber, at least.
Yeah. There's potential there.
It will be funny, I would hope.
Well, yeah.
He has the right sense of humor for Barbarella, because Barbarella is a fucking weird movie, but it does have a sense of humor.
It has a definite sense of humor.
I love Barbarella. It's one of those sort of really good 60s, sci-fi movies that, I mean, well, it's a French sci-fi movie, really. It's that whole sort of weirdness that goes on with those sorts of movies, and it's probably the sort of top tier example of 60s sci-fi weirdness, which I don't know how it works now, but sure, go on, why not? I mean, you're probably going to muck it up, but why not? At least you've got a decent director to try and do it. So we're going to mention Roger Corman, died at 98.
Yeah.
Which he had one of the most prolific and kind of wonderful careers of any producer, director, actor, even, found so many other directors and actors along the way that so many directors and actors owe their start to Corman, and by all accounts a really lovely guy who, like they said, it was king of the B movies.
Well, passionate. Yeah, he had a passion for what he did, and he did it well, I think.
Yeah, he was. I think he was good. He was studying to be an engineer, and basically decided that he didn't want to do that. He wanted to get into movies.
Yeah,
and kind of worked his way up, and he got sort of stung. I think he was at Fox. Fox basically screwed him over, and he just went, "Fuck this! I can do this on my own."
And then proceeded to do just that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And bloody well too. I mean,
yeah, I think so.
Sure, a lot of his movies are rubbish, and but but they were made with passion and genuine enthusiasm for what those movies are. He's got on one hand these terrible sort of trashy B movies and like sort of beach hopping monster movies, and then he's got the Poe cycle, which are, I think every one of those Poe movies is fucking brilliant. And right up to what was the one that I saw him? I can't remember what the last one was now. So one of the Frankenstein Unbound. I didn't realise that was him.
Mm.
And I think that was like his last directing job, I think. So yeah, he had a wonderful, wonderful career and brought us just some really great movies and some great, people. He brought us, Cameron and people like that, and Jack Nicholson and wonderful actors and directors. So yeah, a real absolute gem of a guy who did some wonderful things. And as a celebration of that, our next movie next time will be Mask of the Red Death. Yes,
looking forward to that one.
Yeah. So he will be sorely missed, but he did. He was 98 and he had a wonderful life, I think.
Yeah.
He certainly made the most of it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for us.
It is.
We will be back next time with Mask of the Red Death, and yeah. Thanks for listening, and stay safe, take care. We will catch you next time.